Good evening. I'm Phil Herron, editor of the Daily Times and DelcoTimes.com. Welcome back to another edition of our live stream internet broadcast. We call this little show Live from the Newsroom. It's where we take the people and the issues that are making headlines here in Delaware County. We bring them into our newsroom in beautiful downtown Primos, and we talk about the issues of the day. We are once again out on the road at our what is fast becoming our home away from home. We are on the campus of Widener University in Chester, and we are once again sitting in the beautiful state-of-the-art Communication Studies hub here inside Freedom Hall and the beautiful new TV studio that they are allowing us to use. And we are here tonight for a very, very special occasion. We use this show for a couple of reasons. It allows us, obviously, to use the state-of-the-art equipment. It also allows us to use some of the students here at Widener to get a little experience in putting on a show. They work some of the cameras, they work behind the scenes. And tonight, we're also going to focus on something very, very special that is happening here on the Widener campus. And I refer to this. There is a brand new magazine in Chester all about Chester, this great city where Widener is located. This is the inaugural issue that hits stands and online today. We've put together a panel tonight to talk a little bit about what went into making Chester, the magazine, and its role here at Widener. So let me remind our viewers, we're an interactive show. You can go onto DelcoTimes.com, take part in a live chat. We've asked our readers today if they could supply some questions for some of the students who are involved in this, some things that they'd like to see the magazine maybe tackle down the line. And we're going to talk to them, and we're going to talk to the professor who put together this package and a brand new magazine covering the city of Chester. So let me get right to our panel. To my immediate left, the man who was probably responsible for a lot of this, Sam Starnes. He's the editor of Widener magazine, and he's also the adjunct professor of magazine journalism, a course being offered here at Widener. And we have three students with us tonight who have been intimately involved in the debut issue of Chester, the magazine. And to my left, as we go past Professor Starnes, is Khalil Williams, a junior communication studies major from right here in the city of Chester. Maria Kaleko, a very famous name here in Delaware County. She's from Aston, and she's a senior communication studies major. And out on our far left, we have Devin Fiore from Lancaster, PA, who's also a senior communication studies major. Professor Starnes, I'm going to start with you. Tell us a little bit about the genesis. What went into the thinking behind starting a magazine about Chester?
Well, about this time last year, I was planning to teach the magazine journalism course. And I knew that I wanted to have students go out and cover stories and cover stories in Chester. And about that time, it was announced that the university had a grant for student media engagement grants. A man named John Schmutz, who was on the board of trustees for a number of years, made a donation as part of the Widener's campaign, and told President Harris, Jim Harris, the president of the university, that he could use it any way we want. And Widener has a big commitment to civic engagement, so they created what are called the Schmutz mini grants. And they were $1,000 a piece for the grant. And I thought, hey, we could apply for one of those and take the student work and produce something that we could give to the city and cover stories in the city. And Maria was actually worked in university relations and has written for the Widener magazine and blog. She helped put together the proposal, and we did the grant bid, and they were fortunate enough to give us the money. So
they had an event, a reception here at the school this afternoon. It was pretty well attended. The mayor, who was obviously very clued in to both the school and the city, he was on hand.
Yes, Mayor Linder came, and he's a Widener alum. But one of the early things we did in the class, I think one of the first class, maybe the second or third week of class, we got in a Widener van, and the mayor took us on it was a very cold, dark night. I think a snowstorm was coming, like it was most nights last winter. And we drove all over the city, and he gave us his tour of new developments and the waterfront and PPL Park and Ware Harrah's and City Hall, and it was a fantastic time. And I think it really energized the students in the class because he was such a good storyteller and gave us a lot of ideas. And from there we went on and developed ideas that they would go on to write about, photograph, and put in the magazine.
Now, as part of the magazine journalism class at the school, this gets integrated right into the classroom work, I would imagine?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, their writing assignments were stories that are published in this magazine. And we did a photo field trip where we took pictures that became a photo essay about the city of Chester. Yeah, everything that's in the magazine was class work.
Right. One of the things that, as someone who's been at this racket a couple of years, is that you always tell students is it's one thing to have classroom experience, but to be able to go out and show people, hey, look, this is something that we did really that's outside the realm necessarily of the classroom is really an invaluable experience. Let me get to some of the students who are really involved in the production of the magazine. Khalil, if you don't mind, I'm going to start with you. And that's because you have a great column that's in this debut issue, and you come at this with a little different perspective. You are a resident of the city of Chester. Tell us a little bit about what this means to you and what you think it can do for the city where you live.
I think as a magazine is really important to me, Phil, and what this magazine could do is provide residents, provide developers, provide people with a perspective on what Chester can be, especially if they see some of the spots that are open and ready for development, business opportunities, and for life opportunities here. Right.
When you started thinking about this, I mean, one of the things that I know that I struggle with all the time, and the way it literally is the thing that we have a constant drumbeat of, and I try to remind myself of to be wary of, is how the city gets portrayed in the media. Right. And there's, one way to go about that, but there are always different angles to that. And I imagine a vehicle like this would prove invaluable in showing some of those different sides.
Right.
Tell me about the genesis of the column that you wrote today, because it struck me when I read it as something as saying a statement of reminding people of maybe a little bit about what this city once was and really and truly what the city can be again.
Right. I was volunteering my time over the summer as an intern for Widener University Relations Department. And Sam contacted me about the opportunity to add to the magazine and give my sort of personal perspective on it, since I'm a resident of the city. I was born here, I was raised here, was educated here. I'm still being educated here today as a proud Widener student.
Yeah. Where'd you go to high school?
Chester High School.
Chester High, all right.
And one of the things that really caught my attention about the opportunity was to sort of get that personal edge about it. And I provide some of my stories and explain why I think that Chester is open for a whole new avenue of change.
Yeah. Maria, I'll turn to you now, and I'll let our studio aware that yes, indeed, I did ask her before we went on the air if she was a real part of the great Klecko family here in Delaware County, and she definitely is. She grew up in Aston. Tell us a little about someone who came from outside the city and then into the city, your experiences here at Widener.
Well, I was always pretty familiar with the city. My dad grew up here when he was, my parents are part of the baby boomer generation, so they lived here when Chester was thriving.
Yeah.
Also, my family belongs to St. Hedwig's Church in Chester as well.
Absolutely.
So I'm relatively familiar with the city, but at the same time, people from Aston have a different perspective. Basically, all the towns in Delaware County have a certain perspective of Chester, as you said, based on how it gets portrayed in the media. And I think that being here...
I won't take any credit for that.
No, well, yeah. But I think that being here kind of shows... I think it's opened my eyes a little bit. I think it's not as... I don't think Chester's as bad as people say it is. I think the reputation is not always as warranted as it should be. I think there's a lot of positivity going on in the city as well.
You did.